I was inspired by a video I saw earlier today. I want to speak my own opinion on this, even though I've already stated many things on the weapons of the game, but I never really went in depth to why I think the melees are better than the Magnum. And mostly involves what difficulty you play in. Well, why? Because the Deagle one-shots on expert realism, while other weapons can't. But on lower difficulties, that ability to one-shot is no longer special, since almost every weapon does that. This applies to all the way to expert, but even on expert difficulty, most weapons still one-shot zombies. And if they don't, they do enough damage to still be viable over the Deagle. The Deagle for some reason gets worse on lower difficulties. I know, right? It's just pure nonsense. So I'm going to try to set a rule set here, even though it's pretty difficult to set the rules, because this argument is too subjective and there's too many scenarios. But we're just going to talk about expert realism, primarily focusing on simple scenarios and weaknesses against the special infected and common infected. Versus has no part in this, because Versus meta is pretty clear and already favors snipers. I'll talk about every melee, but I'll mostly be focusing on the fire axe because it's the most consistent. The tank is the first and most important topic to touch on in this debate. The Deagle is horrible at doing damage to the tank. On top of that, its small clip size makes the process take even longer, but it can one-shot the rock when thrown. The problem with this is that melees can do the exact same thing, so this doesn't make the Deagle special. So this one upside is only good depending on the player's skill on each weapon. And with space, while it's going to be a long time, it's a safe weapon to fight against the tank. Again, you need space for that. Now switch over to the melees, which do percentage based damage, meaning the tank will always die in a certain amount of melee hits no matter where you hit it, meaning it does insane amount of damage to the tank. So of course, the difference here is the risk. Going up to the tank and meleeing it without going down is possible, but unrealistic, despite what veterans tell you. No matter how much skill you have, you cannot kite the tank when there's common infected spawning around you and with special infected around the corner. This will always, no matter what, will almost always be the case. It'll be very rare to fight a tank on his own. To fight a tank with no commons around and having the urge to show off by doing this is very risky because the tech is just going ego override. By doing this tech with the melee and kiting, the rest of the team can't shoot the tank because your big ass will be blocking the way. But nonetheless, this is a method that outshines the Deagle. Technically, you can kill the tank faster with a melee than the Deagle. There are other methods. Meleeing the tank while he climbs up an object, meleeing the tank while he pummels a teammate, meleeing the tank when he throws a rock at another person, and meleeing the tank as he's focusing on other players. All valid ways to do a lot of damage to the tank, except this brings another issue. Why only melee the tank? And why only use a Deagle against a tank? That's the problem with this argument. Alone, each secondary can basically do the same thing. Destroy the rock, damage the tank, and get rid of the tank. Both methods are very unorthodox to just be used completely alone, not to mention unrealistic. The primary is what makes the secondary strong. The AK covers the risk factor for fighting the tank. Plus, it does enough damage to not have to use the melee. The shotgun does plenty of damage to cover the Magnum's fault when fighting the tank. But if we were to put these two weapons next to each other against the tank with no assistance from any other weapon, then the melee would probably be the more efficient way to get through the tank. But if there's two tanks, the Deagle, though it will take a very long time to kill those tanks, will probably edge itself out from the melee. It would be better and safer to fight those two tanks with a Deagle than in a melee. If it's in an enclosed space, there's not much you could do with the Deagle against the tank. The melee can pretty much deal with the tank in all scenarios, unlike the Deagle, which needs space to juke the tank. Which you can make the same argument with the melee, but you could also, in the meantime, use a teammate which is down, and while the tank is pummeling them, you could use the melee to kill the tank in time in a small area when there's no space. So putting these many scenarios together, which there could be endless amount of scenarios, the melee is getting the point for the tank. Yes, the Deagle can technically, with time, take down any tank, but the problem with that is that you need space. You could even hit multiple tanks with a melee, something you can't do with the Deagle, which leads to my next point. I feel like comparing the Deagle and the melees without bringing up the primaries is pointless, because secondaries are nothing without the primaries. Except in the Nightmare mod, everything just, I don't know what's up with that mod. I'm going to mainly look at the two best combos in game in my opinion, since if we start looking at each individual gun combo, we'll be here forever. The best two combos I can think of is the AK-47 with the fire axe and the Deagle auto shotgun combo. It could be the Spaz 12 or the auto shotgun, it doesn't matter. Now, why did I pick these two? Well, it's because each of these two combos are the best combos you can get on Expert Realism, because they cancel out each other's flaws. Think about it. If you get swarmed by Common Infected, you could pull out your auto shotgun. If you get swarmed by Common Infected while using the AK-47, you could pull out your fire axe. And then you could use your Deagle to save ammo for the shotgun. And you could use your melee for close encounters. And you could still preserve ammo with the melee. And the AK-47 is now used for special infected and medium range encounters. And I don't want to hear something about the snipers, this and that. Snipers are no longer worth carrying on Expert Realism because they have the 3-shot Common Infected. And the special tier doesn't have enough ammo to consider worth carrying. And tier 1 SMGs, honestly, 10 shots to kill a Common Infected is insanity. One of the qualities that makes the Deagle stand out from the melees is going down with the Deagle. You basically become a turret and you can shoot down any Common Infected around you, something you can't do with the melees. These two are pretty even. They both do great damage to the tank. Auto shotguns going point blank, you can't get better than that. And the AK-47's high damage output makes it ideal for the tank too. Both have methods of taking down the witch. Both are great at dealing with Common Infected. Both have methods of saving ammo by utilizing the secondary. Both have something over the other. It's pretty known that saving ammo with the Deagle shotgun combo is much easier than with the AK-47 combo. The Deagle is just really good at taking down commons that wander around, and the shotgun is really good at dealing with hordes. The only issue with this combo is the infinite hordes. At some point you'll eventually have to reload. In those infinite horde rush events, you'll be overwhelmed. Melee's ability to take out commons at the speed of a shotgun, it all depends on two things: the ping and the skill of the player holding the melee, as well as how many specials are there. Could say that the Deagle shotgun combo is better at dealing with specials, with hordes and commons, but still eventually have to reload. That's the issue. Where with melee, while most unlikely since they're special infected, you'll still survive the encounter since you'll never have to reload with melees. There's just too many scenarios where one outshines the other. So I'm just going to leave this part as a draw. No point is given when comparing which one is the best duo. You can no longer crown the witch on Expert Realism. Well, you can, but you need an auto shotgun. And no zombies around, and you need to land all the shots on her, leading to new methods of killing the witch. The melee monk mode, which is basically dodging the witch's attacks, and the double melee beatdown, where two players use their melees on the standing witch to take her down. Of course, there's other scenarios where the witch is chasing someone and you can melee her to death, as well as stalling even longer with downing someone and then meleeing the witch as she does her screaming animation. It takes 4 melees to take down a witch. Now, let's bring the Deagle into fray. Whether you have the combo with the shotgun doesn't really matter. You cannot kill the witch in time if you aggro her with guns. The only exception to this rule is the standing witch. Yes, you can headshot the witch and stagger her, but then where are you going to get the damage to kill her in that short amount of time? With a shotgun? Good luck doing that, it's very difficult. The melee takes the point here. Even if you had a good pair like the Deagle and the shotgun, it won't help you deal with the sitting witch, which the melees can deal with. Bottom line is, could have another player headshot the witch with a Deagle and then go in with a melee, but why would you use that example when you should be comboing the AK with the axe, and then you could headshot with the AK and then go in to finish off the witch with the axe? So this argument also doesn't stand. And that's the thing about this argument, right, with the witch. Yes, you can kill the witch with both weapons, but only the Deagle requires assistance in doing that. You cannot kill the witch with the Deagle just by itself. With the melee, you can. And that's the only reason why the melee is taking a point here. Unless you have the shotgun, you cannot deal with the witch. Unless you have exploits. The Special Infected. The Deagle on paper can kill specials pretty fast, but the issue with this is you need really good aim on a weapon that has a lot of bullet spread. But this has nothing on the risk of using a melee against a Special Infected. At that point, you're trading damage. With the Hunter, you'll lose half your health by doing this, so this debate is pretty bad. It's obvious that the Deagle wins here. Yeah, you could cut the Smoker's tongue and knock the Hunter out of the air, but good luck trying to do this with a bunch of commons around you, or another Special Infected chasing you, or a tank distracting you. It is much less risky to kill Special Infected with the Deagle than it is to use a melee. The Common Infected, the biggest obstacle in expert realism. Most tier 2 weapons can no longer one-shot anymore, leaving only a couple of methods that can one-shot commons easier, the melee and the Deagle. But which one does it better? The answer is way too nuanced to answer. Like, how can we say either one is better than the other when both kill common effectively in different ways? And are we talking about the original maps, the custom maps? All these have factors that have to be taken into account, because without bringing up these issues, one weapon stands out. The Deagle counteracts all the BS in custom maps, but in the original maps, the Deagle kind of loses its specialty. It's the ammo conservation that makes the Deagle such a good secondary, which in the main campaigns, it really isn't much of a problem since Valve campaigns always provide ammo. Like, I can't genuinely recall the last time in a main Left 4 Dead 2 campaign where I was like, damn, I'm out of ammo. I haven't found ammo in like 3 different chapters. Only in custom maps is that really a scenario worth talking about. This is why I think this argument is kind of stupid, but I'll continue to entertain this idea and leave out. It'll always guarantee ammo for your primaries for tanks and Special Infected. Except this argument isn't always a guarantee because custom maps have this thing called infinite hordes, which completely turn the game into a preparation fiesta where there's only 2 ways to deal with an endless horde, which is a melee and a bile jar. And that's where the Deagle can't keep up. Even with the auto shotgun and Deagle combo, the issue with the melees is that they're unreliable. They will miss, even though you clearly hit a zombie. This isn't a problem with the Deagle. Melees are designed for giant hordes and rushing, switching to your primary to cover your long range enemies like the Smoker, and hard to hit Special Infected like the Jockey. The Deagle is meant to save ammo for shotguns, only switching to shotguns when swarmed. It's like the roles reverse for the weapons. The auto shotgun is acting like the melee, and the Deagle is acting like the AK when dealing with long range enemies. And that's another thing. The only long range enemy you kinda have to deal with in Left 4 Dead 2 is a Smoker. So in reality, this range argument that you have more space to work with and you're more safer with the Deagle is kind of thrown away, because in most cases maps will force you in a small area where this long range won't really be useful. I just want to make it clear that when we do this comparison, only one weapon has its limits. The melee will consistently get zombies off you forever if your mechanics are good. The AK-47 combo and the melee combo is fit to deal with everything, down to even the witches, due to the AK being able to knock the witch away and going in with the kill with the melee. It's really good at taking out tanks. The Deagle can only do so much against specials unless you're really good enough to land consistent headshots, making you have to rely on the shotgun for specials. The melee is simply more versatile, while the Deagle's main argument is to conserve ammo. And everything the Deagle can do, the melee can do, except take down zombies at a range. The melees can kill everything in a 360-degree angle. At the same time, you can melee even faster if you switch between weapons. I wanted to bring this into the debate because the melee has more tech to help it do its job better than the Deagle. The only trick you can do with the Deagle is the reloading before the final bullet is shot, which will shorten your reload time. And yeah, you can do the auto trick, which will make you reload the guns instantly. The Deagle is all about aim. The melee is all about brains. If we were to score this debate like this, then the melees are better. But that isn't to say the Deagle is bad. It's just that these 2 weapons are good at different things, and I feel like it's unfair to compare them. The pistols and Deagle are a more fair argument because they do similar things. That's why when I made my tier list, I didn't have melees and primaries in the same list. I had melees in a separate list because I truly believe these 2 should be scored differently. But that doesn't change the fact that, in my opinion, the melees are better in most scenarios, and the argument becomes even worse in the base campaign and lower difficulties, where the Deagle is just not as special as it was before. Meanwhile, the melees will always be good at taking down huge hordes in succession.